John Muir said, all places are beautiful, all landscapes are beautiful, so long as they're wild, so long as nature is in charge. I mean, it's no secret that we have a biodiversity crisis, that nature is in trouble. And a lot of the loss of nature is loss of habitat. What we want to do is create an area that is as rich in habitat as we possibly can, that supports as many species as we can. I believe nature to be an end in itself. It's what's here. It's a miracle. It's an amazing thing that is on this planet, these living systems. And they are immensely valuable. And we are doing untold damage as humans. We're experiencing an extinction event, the likes of which the planet has rarely seen. And that's at our hand. And I firmly believe that to remedy that situation, we need to take a lot of land and take our hands off it and leave it alone. There is a wider context to what we're doing, and that's really a lot more important than our tiny little patch. In 2019, it came up for sale. It was about 6 months after the death of my mother and father. They left us the money that allowed us to buy this place. This very much feels like their legacy, and I feel their presence here very strongly. This area here is the birch woodland, which is it's a lovely open woodland. There's lots of fungi, there's very, very rich fungal communities there. And there's a few trees coming up there, but again, the grazing pressure from the deer, we've excluded the sheep from all these areas, but the grazing pressure of the deer is such that there's no regeneration of trees there. So they're all just old trees. When the trees fall down, it won't be a woodland anymore. This bit here, actually, I mean, it's Sitka spruce. It's a plantation. It's not really a woodland. It was only ever planted to be harvested at some point. But nonetheless, it was a really, really shocking and frankly sickening sight. The bit just to the north of us, they had harvested just before Storm Arwen. So where these trees here had once been part of a much larger area of woodland, they suddenly found themselves really on the edge of a desert. And then the biggest storm in decades came raging across that desert, and this is the result. If we can avoid buying trees from a nursery and have them grow here on their own, then so much the better. That's easier, it's cheaper, it's faster, and most importantly, you get better trees. The trees will be happier if they germinate in the ground. Okay, so yeah, these are the tree seeds that I've gathered this year. They're for sowing where the conifer trees, where the Sitka has been harvested from, where the ground is clear there, to return that to native woodland. And also I'm going to sow them in areas like Loch Park in the field where the sheep have been, to begin to establish some woodland there. We're actually hoping to scarify some of the ground there using pigs and possibly cattle to break up the ground and expose bare earth, and then if we put the seeds down on the bare earth, they have a much more chance of germinating and growing into healthy trees. These are all wind-blown seeds. They're dispersed by the wind. So this is ash, and this here is wych elm, Scottish elm, which you can see loves the wind. And these are birch. The last of the wind dispersed seeds are these ones here, which are Scots pine. And this big bag here is full of acorns. So like everything, it's all collected very locally. So a lot of it actually collected from our garden here. This here is our native maple, the field maple. So they're also wind-blown seeds. They're quite like sycamore, you know, they're the sort of helicopter style that come spinning down in the wind. And then these three here are alder and elder, and that's rowan seeds in there, again all mixed in with soil. This kind of ground is known as unimproved grassland, which means it's never been ploughed and it's never had any pesticides put on it. Of course, that lack of improvement is really good for biodiversity. This place is very rich in wildflowers, fungi. There's clouds of butterflies here in the summer. We're encouraging the plants, the fungi, the animals from the meadow to spread into the bottom of the field next door where the sheep have been grazing. This kind of habitat is rare and fragmented these days, so the bigger the area we can create with this kind of biodiversity, the better. The woodland down here by the river is another example of where young trees simply aren't managing to grow because of the grazing pressure from the deer. This means that the woodland will only last as long as these trees that are here already, and once they die, it won't be a wood anymore. We're doing what we can to control the movement of the deer, to allow the natural succession of the young trees to come through. Woodland with trees of different ages is much more biodiverse, it's much more rich in life. So we're members of the Northwoods Rewilding network, and very proudly and happily so. They provide us with a link to other projects right across Scotland that are doing similar things. That represents for us a lot of something like colleagues, people who are going alongside us and doing the same things. It's also an enormous body of knowledge and expertise and experience, which we're of course able to tap into. It's a very exciting world to be in. Well, I'd really encourage anyone with the smallest garden or with the largest estate to allow as much of it as possible to become more wild and to support more life. Ecosystems are complex beyond our understanding. We can't possibly do better than nature. So we need to just leave places alone and observe, be fascinated, and enjoy them.